It's so disgusting.
All right, Martha, you ready?
And my hanger,
Okay. We will. Good afternoon, everybody. We will call to order the September 13th regular meeting of the Butler Community College Board of Trustees. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For those of you that are frequent attenders or watchers, you'll notice a little bit of change in how we handle the board meetings. We had a retreat last month, and one of the takeaways from the retreat was a belief amongst the consensus of the board that we would be better with a more structured board meeting. So you'll see, try to adhere to Robert's rules a little more strictly than we have in the past. That's what's, if you're wondering why the change from what we did last month, that's what's driving that. So no reasons otherwise. So with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, so move that we approve the agenda.
Do we have a second?
And I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented in the board book. Any discussion?
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to ask if. Second, I have some notes in here. I got the notes there. You know what? Never mind. We'll just go for it next time. There's a few little pieces of information that I'd like included with the board packet every time.
Okay, well, the motion on the floor is to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay, and you said we can discuss, right?
Well, we're discussing the agenda as it's been presented.
Okay, can we discuss that?
Well, what you're suggesting isn't on the agenda.
So you can't suggest any changes when the discussion is about the agenda? Because I'm just asking. I think that's proper, but
Are you asking to amend the agenda?
no.
Okay,
I'll
then,
tell you what, you
no,
just go ahead.
Well, no,
No.
explain. I'm not following,
ahead.
but maybe your explanation will help me follow.
When we have a motion, then we second, and then we discuss. Well, I just want to discuss adding something. Maybe not to the agenda, but we don't really have board reports here. So I would like to ask if maybe we could next month get our report that we get with the expenses and the bills in it. Could we get that like the day or two after
Okay, why don't,
the
let's,
close of the month?
the topic at hand is
Okay,
the
well then let's
agenda.
amend it. Well, I'll put forth an amendment.
You need to state what the amendment is, and then we'll need to get a second on the amendment. And right
We
now,
can't do that till we get this passed,
well,
right?
if we pass it, there's no amendment.
Right, but I'm not sure that we can do anything about that now.
we talked about it at the next work session, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be fine with me.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, let's call the vote.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Winslow.
Yes,
Trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes 7-0. We will now move to the combined revenue neutral rate hearing and public budget hearing. I've got a statement that I'll make at the start of this. I declare the public hearing for the proposed 2022-2023 Butler Community College budget now open. The purpose of this hearing is to hear and answer objections of taxpayers relating to the proposed budget and consider amendments to the proposed budget as required by KSA 79-2929, and to consider exceeding the revenue neutral rate as required by KSA 79-2988 sub B sub 3. The budget hearing is being held in conjunction with revenue neutral rate hearing as authorized by KSA 79-2988 B3. I am Forrest Rhodes, Chair of the Board. Seated with me around the table from my right to left are Trustee Good, Trustee Brungart, Trustee Jolly, Trustee Winslow, Trustee Shearer, and Trustee Smith, as well as President Kim Kroll, Executive Assistant and Clerk to the Board Jennifer Hartman. Other Butler administrators, faculty, and staff are also present. To briefly explain the budget process, several months ago, we began with recommendations from individual department heads, which were then reviewed by our budget officers and senior administrators. In conjunction with parameters set by the Board of Trustees, the administration developed the budget recommendation that was presented to the trustees. At its regular meeting on August 9th, the Board of Trustees passed the notice of hearing to exceed the revenue neutral rate and budget hearing for the 2022-2023 budget. This notice set the maximum expenditure budget by fund at $85,861,808 and the maximum amount of tax to be levied at $12,928,138 for the 2022-2023 budget. The amount of tax to be levied is the same amount as was levied last year for the 2021-2022 budget. The estimated mill levy rate for the proposed budget is 13.815 mills, which exceeds the revenue neutral rate of 13.795 mills by 2/100ths of a mill. The proposed rate is a reduction of 1.4 mills from last year's budget. The expenditure budget provides the college with the ability to increase its operating budget to address significant unanticipated expenses. The amount of tax to be levied in the proposed budget is the same amount that was levied last year. The notice was published in the college's official newspaper and on its website as required by statute, with the hearing set for 4:30 p.m. today, September 13th, 2022, in the Hubbard Welcome Center, 901 South Haverhill in El Dorado.
Is that a document you're reading from?
Yes.
I just wondered, do I have a copy of that?
At this time, I will open the hearing to public comment from individuals who would like to speak. We request that you hold your comments to 5 minutes. Please announce your name and address and sign the sign-in sheet. The board will not take any action or participate in discussion during the public comment period. We will provide closing statements once everyone has had a chance to speak.
Point of order here. I really want to know where those copies are. Did I get one?
Trustee Winslow, you're out of order.
Because
We
I'm
are-
asking where that came from.
This
because
is
you're
the
reading
same
like it.
script that we have read each of the last 3 years with changes to the numbers and the dates.
But we didn't,
Chair.
any of us get a preliminary copy of that, and
No.
you are speaking to the board, and you did not note that there was a difference in the votes. In other words, it was 4-3.
The board, what I noted was what happened, which is the board.
The board passed it, but you
this.
did not note that there
I
was.
do not
a-
need to note every individual
Well,
vote. It's the board's decision.
I
The board
understand.
passed
I
it.
understand what you're saying.
The
I don't
hearing is now
understand why
open.
I
Do
can't
we?
have a copy of that in advance.
I
but
didn't say you couldn't have a copy.
I didn't get one.
Well, you should have asked for one. It's the same script that
We
was done at the
shouldn't be
last two
reading it
meetings.
and without all of us having that. Sorry, but no, I don't think so.
You're not sorry. That's fine. Do we have any public comment? Okay, we will hang loose for a little bit and sit tight in case someone is coming and hasn't arrived yet. So we'll just spend a few minutes and wait to see. Mr. Williams, if you could speak from the podium, please. Mr. Williams.
Thomas Williams, Benton Township. Been a resident of Butler County for probably 36 years. Retired. Each year, even if the mill levy stays the same, our taxes still continue to go up. and the tax rate stays the same, but the appraisal value on our homes goes up. So I know you say the mill levy doesn't go up that much, but our taxes do. Being retired every year, it just keeps going higher and higher. Questions I have, what is the current enrollment of the community college? And what has been the enrollment in the last 5 years? Has that gone up or gone down or?
We're here to hear your comments. It's not a question and answer session.
Okay, gotcha. Basically, we're trying to pay our taxes and they just keep going up, and the community college takes a good chunk of them. So basically, I'm here to voice my opinion on that. But I've not been but a couple of these board meetings, and I'm a little bit appalled at, I know you have the Robert's Rules of Order, but I would expect a little more courtesy in answering questions and concerns of board members. So, I've been to these board meetings before on things, but it's our tax dollars that support the community college, and would, expect a little more courtesy on some of the things here. So,
Thank you.
Enrollment is down. Oops, I'm sorry.
Last call for anyone that would like to speak in the public comment part of the hearing. Seeing and hearing none, I thank those that got up to speak for your comments. Would entertain a motion to approve the resolution as set forth on page 6 of the board book. Well, the recommended action is page 4. The resolution is on page 6.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, trustee Good.
I move that we approve Resolution 2208, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of Butler Community College, Butler County, Kansas, to levy a property tax rate exceeding the revenue neutral rate.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on this pending motion?
Yes.
Trustee Winslow.
I really would like, when you're going to read a statement that is from the board, even though we've read it.
The
six
pending
times.
motion is
Hey.
to approve the revenue
please let me
neutral rate.
finish. Don't be
No,
disrespectful.
and it's
You
not a
just
matter of,
got done
it's
saying
not a
that.
matter of being disrespectful, but comment needs to be germane to the pending motion.
You
The
know,
pending
it-
motion is to approve the resolution that's on the floor. It's not an open floor for discussion.
I'd still like a copy of it next time. Now, moving on. I've got a tax mill rate. And I got a magazine that y'all put out, and this is free to you guys. And it is very one-sided, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, 30-year all-time low on mill levy would not be happening if myself and Mr. Shelby and Ms. Brungart were not on this board. Especially the 30-year low on mill levy. I mean, this just didn't happen. This has been happening the last couple of years, as you can see my notes down here, as to what the money is and the mill levies are. It's not that we don't want you to have money, but raising that mill levy neutral rate is not really a key thing to do when people are having such a struggle at the gas pump, at the grocery store, things like that. It just doesn't seem key. And to look at this that was printed, oh my gosh, this is like, there was only 4 people that voted in favor of this, and I'm glad you at least put it here, even though you didn't read it in your statement. Because honestly, it should be noted that there was 3 board members that did not support that neutral rate, did not support that increase. And this just talks about how the foresight of the board, this, I mean, to me, allow more time to examine the numbers. We just flat said, we don't believe that. We want you to look at it again because we think it could go lower. I mean, that's how I remember that meeting, but maybe I'm wrong here. I guess everyone could review the whole thing, but it says the vote of the board to allow more time to examine the numbers turned out to be the difference maker in the process, giving the college the opportunity to pass these savings on to the hardworking taxpayers of Butler County. What are we doing tonight? It doesn't seem like we're considering them if we're raising the revenue neutral rate. Because what that says is no matter how much money you got, no matter how much money you're paying at the pump, no matter how much money you're paying at the grocery store, you have a problem, we're gonna have to pay our taxes anyway. Because we're not gonna look at cutting anything. I mean, it just speaks to me that way. So
I found the last statement on there to be,
Wait, please. Ms. Winslow, are you done, Trustee Winslow?
for now,
Trustee Brungart.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I really found the last statement to be just unequivocally false and really misleading to the public in terms of a published document from the college. Just like Julie said, the vote of our board to allow more time to examine the numbers turned out to be the difference maker in the process, giving the college the opportunity to pass these savings on to the hardworking taxpayers of Butler County. Giving more time to examine the numbers doesn't make the difference in whether or not you pass on a tax savings. If we had voted down, if we had succeeded in what we were trying to do, instead of losing that vote that night from 4 to 3, it would have held the college's feet to the fire to meet the budget that we put out there. So to send out to the public a pat on the back as if us allowing that was the thing that saved the taxpayers money, that's absolutely false, misleading, and ridiculous. And I really don't appreciate that publication. So that's my discussion on it.
I
Trustee
would
Smith.
have a comment I don't have that in front of me, but if you're writing that you're giving a tax cut to the citizens and you keep the taxes the same dollar amount, that's not a cut of any kind.
It's a lower in a
That's
mill rate,
mis-
but it's not a cut in tax.
That's misleading.
Right.
I mean, that's good marketing for next year's election, but it wasn't entirely truthful.
Yeah.
I didn't appreciate it either. That's not really how that meeting shook out.
Any other comment?
who writes this? I would like to know who writes this.
Do we have any other comment? I would note from that meeting that, and I was here as everybody else on the board was, the majority that voted to exceed revenue neutral, there was discussion throughout that, and it was very clear that we weren't voting to increase taxes. We were voting to have the flexibility to not bind ourselves to something, to give the college the opportunity to do exactly what it did. which was come back with a budget that met your three expectations, which was staying revenue neutral, which is what we did. Now, how you want to spin, whether they did it on their own or they did it with your prodding or our collective prodding at the meeting, that's politicizing. The
No, they're not
reality,
spending other than this
Ms.
amount.
Brungard, you don't have the floor right now.
Sorry.
You all wanted me to try to enforce these rules. I'm going to try
No,
to do
Kim
it.
did.
No, this was a collective group. That was a collective decision during our work session, during our retreat, that we wanted more structure in these meetings. That means less outbursts from every single person and more structured discussion. That's what I'm trying to do. Do we have any further comment on the pending motion?
I would like to make one further comment.
Yes.
I don't appreciate our comments being construed as spinning the truth. I'm stating a factual thing with regard to this publication that is sent out by the college that is not appreciated. I came on this board with, again, contrary to what everybody believes, to sit here and listen and try to see and try to learn and try to figure this out. And per the public comment we had tonight, when what we say and contribute is completely disregarded and misrepresented in a publication that comes from the college, that's not appreciated. That's what I'm saying.
I would have one additional comment.
Trustee Smith.
The board or the administration's proposal was to raise taxes 1.3 million this year, to raise an additional tax 1 million next year, an additional million the following year, of a total of 16 million 3 years out, after we had the meeting and all of our arguments. 2 weeks later, they decided to hold it at current rate. That was not the proposal originally. That was not that's not the road we were going down. So, I mean, it's not that they came to us wanting to keep taxes the same and that's all that happened. That's not how it happened.
And I would just clarify to that point, the only proposal that was on the board was the increase this year. We asked administration to provide an outlook for future years, and that included an outlook of what the tax rate might be. There was no formal proposal to raise the taxes in 2024. The proposal was to there, and admittedly, you're absolutely right. The initial proposal from the college was to raise the taxes by 1.3 million this year. That proposal by the board was rejected. And you all can talk about what the path was to get there. But to the one bit of public comment we had, the board decided to turn back the valuation increase. So we are not accepting the valuation. If there's any uncertainty about that among those that are listening, the exceeding the revenue neutral rate by 2/100ths of a mil was, Kent Williams can explain the details. It was a change in valuation due to tax incremental financing. The board is not accepting the valuation increase that we could have accepted had we voted to do that. Trustee Brungard.
Can we at least agree that had we not voted to allow this additional analysis like this document said, that would have unequivocally held the college to an amount of tax that they could have imposed on the public, correct?
Yeah,
So-
it would have taken away the flexibility.
Right.
We would have imposed a ceiling
Right.
had we voted.
So that makes this statement false is what I'm saying. The vote of the board to allow more time turned out to be the difference in giving us the opportunity to pass on these savings. That doesn't make sense because if we had voted the other way, the savings would have been passed on to the taxpayer. The same result would have happened. So the way everyone voted that night did not grant some magical power of the college to save the taxpayer money, which is what this statement says. It's misleading and false.
I would
Let's keep it moving.
Right.
Trustee Smith.
I would also, I think you're mistaken that what they proposed was an additional 1.3 for this coming year. That 1.3 stays in our budget. The following year, they proposed an additional million and an additional million. It went up to, there was a 3-year outlook, assuming we take the increase in valuations every year. This is what we're looking at. That was proposed to us.
That was a future assumption. That wasn't a
Correct.
proposal that
That's-
we were voting on. But
No,
I mean, I think
understand. They presented a 10% increase, and then assuming that happens, they were proposing and presenting another increase the following 2 years. That was proposed to us. That was what they were
we're
looking
going to
at.
call the question.
No, I still have a couple of comments to make.
Trustee Winslow.
I'm so sorry. I just want to point out that I don't think that you need to rebut all of our opinions as the attorney in new demands. I think you can just let our opinions lie without having to justify the board's decision every time we have an opinion that we lay out there, like you did with Kim and like you did with Shelby just now. I'm just making that observation that I would rather you not do that. So,
And I would only respond to that to say the next time I have an opinion that you disagree with, I would expect you to stay quiet and not say anything in
I'm not the
response. to it.
chair, you are.
Well, I am also a trustee.
You
I
are
have
the
a-
chair. And you don't have
Trustee
to
Winslow,
rebut
I have as
everybody,
much a right to speak as each one of you do.
but only twice is the issue. That's what you said.
We want to keep moving, folks.
Yeah, we're driving.
Okay, do we have, okay. Hearing no further comment, let's call the question.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brongart,
No.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
No,
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
No. Okay, that motion, the resolution 22-08 passes on a 4-3 vote. Would now entertain a motion, well, excuse me, I will now close the, we'll adjourn the public hearing on the revenue neutral rate hearing. And the combined public budget hearing is now closed. We'll move on to approval of the legal and operating budgets and would entertain a motion to that effect.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I
Trustee
would
Jolly.
like to make the motion to approve the legal budget for 2022-23 as published with the amount of taxes to be levied for the general fund of $12,928,138 and the total expenditure budget for all funds of $85,861,808.
Do we have a second to that motion?
Mr. Chairman, I second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the legal budget as presented. Any discussion?
I would move to amend the motion. Fully expect this to get voted down, but I would like to amend it to have the taxes to be levied for the general fund of being 12.5 million. And then the expenditures for the total budget adjusted accordingly. As Shelby pointed out last time, there's been a savings. Part of that should be.
Hold, please. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Do we have a motion to amend? Do we have a second on the
yes,
motion?
I
to amend?
second.
Okay. Now, make sure we keep things clear. Do we have any discussion on the pending motion to amend, which is to reduce the taxes to be levied to 12.5 million?
I think it's the right thing to do.
Trustee Brungart, did you have, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you have comment to this?
It just went along with what Shelby said last time. If we have a savings, part of that belongs to the taxpayer and should be passed on accordingly.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a quick comment.
Yeah,
And it's
Trustee Smith.
just exactly that. Last year, we had 4 million left over, 2 million the previous year, 2 million the previous year. At least 25% of that's taxpayer money. There's no interest in the board returning any money to the taxpayers. I think we should at least take less from them next year. I understand it'll be voted down, but at least that's my opinion.
Any other discussion on the pending motion to amend?
Actually, I did have just one more. I tried to mention it earlier, but Shelby just brought this up, that there was an overage of funds. And we can look at the net gain in assets on the municipal audits with the state of Kansas. And it'll show you what net assets we have gained year to year. And I actually sent Ken a rather lengthy memo back in 2019, asking him to explain some of this, or 2021, asking him to explain some of these, and he kindly did. However, I got on there today to try to look at what our net increase in assets was, and our audits have not been filed for neither 21 or 22. So I just would like to make a note that we get those filed if we can. And yes, that's relative, because that's the only place I can see for sure how much the assets have really gained accordingly. But I agree with Shelby, it's been 2 million a year, and I think last year was 4. But I need to get those posted. Thank you.
Okay, hearing no further comment, we need to call the vote on the pending motion to amend. So this vote is, a vote in favor is voting to reduce the proposed taxes to be levied per trustee Brungard's motion to 12.5 million, which is a reduction, it looks like, of a little over $400,000. Voting against this would be to not amend it, and which would retain the motion as it was originally made by trustee Good.
Trustee Good,
By trustee Jolly, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Yes, trustee Miller.
Trustee Good,
No.
Trustee Brungart,
Yes.
Trustee Jolly,
No,
Trustee Rhodes,
No.
Trustee Winslow,
Yes.
Trustee Shearer,
No.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, that motion to amend fails on a 4-3 vote. Any discussion, any further discussion on the pending motion, which is to adopt the budget as proposed per trustee Jolly's motion? Okay, hearing none. Let's call that vote.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
Trustee Brungart,
No.
Trustee Jolly,
yes,
Trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
Trustee Winslow,
No.
Trustee Shearer,
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Okay, that motion passes on a 4-3 vote. Would now entertain a motion to approve the operating budget as presented in the board book.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board approve the operating budget expenditures for 2022, 2023 as presented to the Board of Trustees in the 2022, 2023 administrative budget recommendation presented on August 9th, 2022, with the amount of budgeted operating fund expenditures of $56,277,148.
Have that motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I will second that.
Trustee Good, thank you. Motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing nothing. Roll vote, please.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
Trustee Brungart,
No.
Trustee Jolly,
yes,
Trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
Trustee Winslow,
No.
Trustee Shearer,
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
No. Okay. That budget motion passes on a 4-3 vote. Yes, Mr. Williams.
If I could, just to address your comment. On the finance page on our website, the 2021 audit is posted so that anybody in the public can go out and download
In our
the 2021 audit. The 2022 audit is currently being conducted by auditors. That's for the year that ended in June this year.
You know why it's posted in state Kansas yet? Because all the other community colleges. Right.
I'll check on
Thank you, Ken.
I just offer my thanks to Dr. Kroll and her staff. The budget process is, I mean, despite all the differences of opinion amongst the board, there's an enormous amount of work that goes into that, and we've been talking about it since the end of 2021. So I appreciate everybody that spent time and effort going into this, and we'll be talking about next year's budget all too quickly, but it's I'm happy that we're moving that forward. We'll move on the budget or on the agenda to recognitions. Dr. Kroll.
Thanks. Yep. I'm going to start with Tyler Nordman, our Associate Athletic Director who's here. And Tyler, I'm going to sit at my microphone. I hope that's okay. Tyler received national recognition from the 2-year Sports Information Directors of America for his social media graphics and game notes publications. There were 294 entries in the contest and nearly 50 different institutions in this publications contest. If you've been paying attention to our media that's coming out of the athletic department, it's really incredible. And Tyler's the one that shoots that out for us. And so Tyler, congratulations. You've elevated our recognition in that area to a new level, and we appreciate all your doing. Thank you very much. And if you've seen if you happen to see the production trailer and the enrollment trailer that's out, Tyler was the one that really developed the graphics that are on that production trailer as part of his work. I don't think you got an award for that, but I think you should have an award for that. Yeah. And then also, welcome volleyball folks and coaches. Do we have Lisa here? No, we have Tessa. Okay, good. That's good. That's all right. So I want to recognize our great coaches, Tessa Crosby and Lisa Lechtenberg, and volleyball players. They have been recognized again this year by the USMC, the United States Marine Corps, and the Association of American Volleyball Coaches Association, ABCA, with a team academic award this year. 2022 marks the 30th anniversary of this award and honors teams who match their dedication to volleyball with excellence in the classroom. And the benchmark for this is a 3.3 GPA. That's the baseline. And so I think this is the third year in a row that our volleyball team and our coaches have received this national award. And it's a tribute to outstanding volleyball players, but also outstanding students who have a dedication in the classroom, but great coaching leadership that help these young women excel on the volleyball court, but also in the classroom. So thank you for your hard work. You continue to make us all really, really proud and represent Butler in a really special way. So thanks. And you're doing a great job this year already.
Yes.
Yep. Right? And you lost matches the very first weekend you played because you were playing number 1 and number 2 in the nation, right? But haven't lost anything since then. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
8-4. 8-1 streak, play here tomorrow at 6.
Yeah. Great.
That's
Did
wonderful.
you get a picture of these guys? I did. Good. Watch for it. It'll be on social media like in 5 minutes. Right? Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell Lisa thank you too. Yeah. And then also want to recognize Trustee Winslow's birthday, which was the 7th of September.
I did
So-
not have a birthday.
Oh, well, I sent you an email, so I think you did have a birthday, but anyway, happy birthday.
We'll move on to public comment of our regular board meeting. Do we have anyone desiring public comments? Okay. Move on to standing reports. Student government.
I think they're in the hallway. Oh, sure. You can.
Oh, come on in, guys. Come on, come on, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Hi, I'm Lillian Rippey, and I'm the SGA president. And first, I'm going to have our team introduce themselves, their position, and where they're from.
My name is Mateo Ortega. I'm the vice president of SGA, and I'm from Wichita.
My name is Malia Glass, and I'm the secretary treasurer, and I'm from Manitou Springs, Colorado.
My name is Jaden Stim. I am from Wichita, Kansas, and I am a coordinator.
My name is Carrie Cron, and I am a coordinator and from Wichita, Kansas.
My name is Carrie Rowe, and I'm a coordinator from Harrington, Kansas.
And for our report, we started with our SGA retreat on August 12th. And at that day, we planned out the rest of the fall semester and all of the events, most of the events that we are going to do. During GrizFest, we sponsored snacks at the block party on August 22nd. We did free popcorn and pop for all students that went to the first home volleyball game on August 24th. And we did ice cream socials in both Andover and El Dorado on August 25th. And we did the free movie night at the Central Cinema 6 on August 26th. And then we walked in the Grizzly Gold Parade that Saturday. I think it was the 27th. Coming up this Thursday, we are going to be celebrating Constitution Day. And at El Dorado, we are going to be doing that from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And at Andover, we are going to be doing that from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we're going to be giving out cupcakes and preambles of the Constitution for that. Also this Thursday, we are hosting Paint Wars again at 6 p.m. that night. Next Friday, we are doing Fun Friday with SGA, and we are going to be doing a bowling night from 6 to 9 p.m. This month, for Suicide Awareness Month, we partnered with Nancy Ham in Mental Health Services, and we purchased awareness bracelets to give to the students. And then we also based our bulletin board around it, the bulletin board that you walk by as you're going into the cafeteria. And for that, we made a section that students can write on to leave inspirational messages for each other or write things that get them through their day or anything like that. Also, a new project that we are going to be starting is the Butler Pact. So Dr. Kroll, when she went to Fort Hays State University, she toured the student union and saw that they had the Tiger Pact in a place where everyone could see it. And we are going to be starting that project, and we're going to be talking to students from different organizations and students around campus to get input from them on what it is going to say. The Tiger Pact, it was kind of a plaque on a wall that says, "I am a tiger. I belong to a strong and unique family who strives for greatness and success. I instill integrity and confidence within others as well as myself. I incorporate honesty and responsibility in all I do. I am the future." So we're going to be doing something like that. We're not sure right now whether we'll call it like Butler Pact, Grizzly Pact, something like that. But we will be starting that and hope to have it up by the end of this semester. And then we are also going to be doing a voter registration table event. So we are partnering with John Ramirez, who is a student through Butler. And we are going to be hosting 2 tables for that. The first one we are going to be doing next Tuesday, September 20th, here at El Dorado, and we'll have it in the Student Union from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then we will be doing it next Thursday at Andover in the Student Union from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. as well. And at that table, we will help students register to vote or re-register if they're already registered and have moved or something like that. And then we will also be there to answer any questions they have to the best of our ability. Any questions?
Where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Atwood, Kansas.
Okay. Well, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, op staff, Lisa.
All right, good afternoon. Our scholarship committee has selected the book scholarship recipients for this academic year. Funded by operational staff fundraisers throughout the year, the book scholarship helps to cover the cost of books and enable students to continue towards their educational goals. We typically award $300 scholarships to 2 qualified candidates each year. To be eligible, applicants must be a member of operational staff or an immediate family member and be enrolled in 6 credit hours. This year, we were able to award 3 students with $500 each. We wish all of the applicants much success with their college efforts. Our next operational staff meeting is this Thursday, September 15th. September 15th. Sorry, I don't know what day it is anymore. So, any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Professional employees, Dr. Sater.
Thank you, Forrest. I'm glad to be in front of you again after a much welcomed summer respite. It is my pleasure to tell you about this year's Bcccea scholarship recipient that was just announced last night to the membership. Her name is Carrie Elizabeth Rowe. I think she was just here. And I would like to read to you some of Well, what our committee chair, Susan Forrest, told us or let us know about Carrie's application. Here's her reasoning for going into teaching. Growing up in a small town, the school was the heart of the community. I saw firsthand the connections, opportunities, growth, traditions, and outright potential that comes from the school system, which is ultimately what made me decide to major in secondary education. My teachers truly cared about my well-being and long-term success. I was given multiple opportunities through them and achieved some amazing accomplishments because they believed in me. At the end of the day, teachers don't just educate minds, they educate hearts too. An important aspect of teaching that is often overlooked. My experience at Butler Community College has been the same, making me even more confident that I am on the right career path. After Butler, I plan on transferring to Emporia State University to finish my degree in business education. I would like to teach and coach for a few years, having the opportunity to make a difference in students' lives and helping them become the best versions of themselves they can be. Eventually, I would like to continue my own education by earning a master's degree in educational leadership and becoming a school administrator. Well, I don't know about that. Oh, never mind. As a school administrator, I would have the potential to create even more opportunities for both teachers and students, motivating them to do more and be more. I am really excited for what the future has in store for me, and it all stems from the positive environment I was surrounded by growing up. Now it is my passion to help others have the same positive environment and opportunities through the school system. I wanted to read that to you because although I'm sure you don't need reminding, I don't think it hurts to remind ourselves just how great our students are. And certainly Carrie is deserving of our scholarship. I am told that the field was very strong. And in fact, I was told that the two other applicants were so strong that the foundation is seeking further funding for their education as well. So all of that's a good thing. The only other thing I would let you know about, over the past few years, instructors have been asked to do more than what we have in the past for recruiting students due to enrollment and the like. The association, QA Association, has always stepped away from that in the sense of simply not doing anything with it, but just leaving that to administration and our colleagues. However, the association has now decided to get more involved in that as an association. And we're going to begin by, well, I think we have, someone's told me that we did, I don't know, by requesting a copy of the Claris report that was produced a couple years ago, something like that, so that the association can work with the college in recruiting students, and as well as questions of retention and completion. I just wanted to let you know. Thank you for your time.
Can you just explain what that is?
I'm not sure if I'm qualified to explain. I believe we hired a consultant from Claris a few years ago to look into these matters of enrollment. And somebody needs to correct me if I say something incorrect here. At any rate, that consultant created a report at the end of their study. And the association would like to have that report so that we can be of service to the college. As an association, other faculty probably have it. I don't know, but the association doesn't. That's what we ask for. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Board Finance Committee, trustee Good, trustee Jolly.
Okay, so if you look to page 71, we reviewed the revenue and expenditures there and didn't really find any abnormalities at this time. The bulk of our discussion was around the budget process and the calendar. Although we're just approving a budget tonight, it's already starting for 2024. And one of the first things that will happen is that hopefully within the week, the finance department will produce the budget manual and circulate it. The individuals that receive that have about 6 weeks to review, and then it'll go on to the VPs, and then numbers will start to come to us. And this process takes into account the numbers from the VPs, contract negotiations that will be happening at the same time, and then funding that we'll receive from the state. We should start to see some information in regard to tuition and fees this coming February as the first thing that will come to us. And also the budget development is and should be a part of our strategic plan. So we need to be sure that they mesh in their intent and that we have what we need to fulfill our strategic plan. So that was it.
Thank you. KACCT quarterly meeting report.
Okay, I had the opportunity to attend KACCT quarterly meeting in Fort Scott. I think everyone, at least I know via email, we were given the recap of the meeting. A couple things I'd like to point out that were of interest to me was this number 4 with the attorney from Hirsch and Blackwell, who discussed legal issues facing colleges and suggested ways trustees could help ensure policies and procedures help the college from legal issues. It talked about some of the things that we have touched on here, which would be Title IX investigations, things like that. But something of interest and something that she went into quite a bit was about attorney-client privilege and what can be covered under that. And interestingly, if we have, for instance, an executive session and someone goes outside that executive session and talks, we're going to potentially lose our attorney-client privilege. And that could be very detrimental to us as an institution when we're discussing matters of policy or implementation or the investigations or anything like that. So she was very stringent in her recommendations in regard to that. And then she talked about how far the college needs to investigate situations that occur off campus. The other interesting thing that I felt came up was to have the president of Lewis and Clark Community College, who had been in the Kansas Community College system in the past, and he talked about a cyber incident they had and security issues and just exactly what they went through, what their insurance covered, what they'd learned along the way. So that was very interesting. And my last observation is there was only one community college president that wasn't there because of a conflict at Fort Scott, but it was very evident to me that the other college presidents respect Dr. Kroll. A number of times, at least 2 that I can remember, they called on her to be the speaker on behalf of the group. During networking and things, you can tell that she's well liked. And I think that's something that we should be proud of, that we have a leader that is also a leader of others in the same profession. So if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But if you get a chance to go, I thought it was an interesting experience.
You said that was something that they sent a summary out to the board.
I had it in my email.
I didn't think it came to you because you attended. the
Oh,
meeting, but
okay.
I can email
You
it.
can
I would
just
like
send
to.
it to all.
I don't think we should.
I'll email it
We
to
should-
everyone.
I'm sorry, I thought
We
everyone
should
had
probably
gotten
not
that.
even have to ask that, but all wrote down. Said that.
I'll make myself.
Thank you, Linda.
Mhm.
Foundation Board, I'll take that one. The Foundation Board met last month for its quarterly meeting. I'll just give you some updates of where they are. Fair market value of the foundation's portfolio as of August 25th was about 14.6 million, which is actually an increase over the end of the fiscal year in June of this year. That was 13.7 million. So an $860,000 increase. Now, the market today, if anybody saw that, might be going the wrong direction. But the board did not take any action to change its investment strategy at this time. When I say the board, the foundation board. The foundation had a strong fiscal year, revenue up 3.8 million over last year. Primary driver of that revenue increase was generations for the culinary project to the culinary building. Current investments exceeded prior year by almost 600,000 as the board prepared to pay down construction costs on the culinary building. Receivables were up about 500,000 over the last year, primarily due to culinary pledges that are expected to be satisfied over the next 2.5 years. Liabilities currently show 1.5 million owed to Scott and Betsy Redler on a note payable, and those will increase over the next quarter. Short-term loan with Commerce Bank to bridge the gap between pledges received and construction payments was taken in June of 2022. Evaluation of that loan balance will be reviewed in March of 2023. Board community support revenue was up 150,000 over the prior year due to a one-time stipend to the college. Scholarship disbursements were at our highest disbursement ever, almost $742,000 last year. The foundation, that was money coming back to our students. Culinary project fundraising continues. The 60/40 tax credits need to be distributed by December 31st of this year, 70/30 tax credits by December 31st of next year. As we all know, construction was completed on that building and it was ready for classes, and it is being used for classes now. There is one new board member on the foundation board, that's Dusty Buell. He is currently the CEO and tournament director for the Wichita Open. For the past 8 years, he served as Augusta High School's boys soccer coach and has been recognized regionally and at the state level in that role. He is a former student at Butler, although he got his associate's degree from Cloud County Community College and then his bachelor's degree from Emporia State. So the board is welcoming Dusty as a new board member. That is all I have from the foundation side. Dr. Kroll.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yes.
Do you know if the annual foundation audit report is available then?
I do not know, but we can find out.
Okay, and then, yeah, because I'd like to see what Butler Community College contributed in salary and I guess equipment, building, whatever, to the foundation.
Yeah, I don't know if those questions are answered in that annual report, but I'll talk to Tom Borrego and we'll get a copy of it if it's finished.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Kroll, your report.
Thanks. The first thing I want to do is introduce Lisa Moore, who's, I think, zooming in with us tonight. She's an assistant professor at Tabor College and working on her doctorate through Baker. Lisa had reached out to myself and with some other folks here at Butler. We're helping her with some of her directed field experience opportunities this fall semester as she starts to work on her doctorate. So I want to welcome Lisa if she's online. We're going to be looking at, she's reviewing some board information. She was on campus today for tours. She'll be involved in some of the HLC conversations that we have, working with student services on a couple of different things. And so we're excited to be able to support Lisa in her initial work towards her doctorate at Baker. So are you online, Lisa? There you are. Wave. Thanks, Lisa. We're glad to have you join us. I also want to remind you of David Grand's event, the event tomorrow night that's sponsored by the foundation through the Harold Smith Cultural Series, author of The Killers of the Flower Moon. His actual presentation in the evening begins at 7 in the Clifford Stone Room. And so I hope you'll be able to join us for that. We've had significant response to RSVPs. I think what I hear this morning in exec council, 500 RSVPs already, Kelly, right? So we'll have a nice group. I believe he's speaking with students maybe earlier in the afternoon.
4 o'clock.
Yeah, 4 o'clock. So please attend if you're able. Wanted to just remind you, I think I sent it to you in my email. We had the opportunity to host the Kansas Community College Leadership Institute in Andover in our Kansas room last Thursday afternoon and evening, and Friday. 25 representatives, 24, 25 representatives from across the community college system that are part of the Leadership Institute. They meet once a month for the fall semester and spring semester. It's facilitated by Dr. Jackie Vietti and is a great in-state kind of in-house leadership opportunity that Jackie brings in speakers from across the nation and across the state to provide leadership opportunities and networking opportunities. This year we have Dr. Neville and Dr. Donnie Featherston that are participating from Butler. We also last week on Friday afternoon, we're at Friends University. They don't call them earmarks at the national level anymore. But Senator Moran and the other senators have access to what they're calling grants now. And Friends was able to apply for a grant through Senator Moran's office for cybersecurity funding. And they're going to receive $750,000 in funding in technology and equipment. A lot of it, 500,000, I think 500,000 is going to be in scholarships, and Butler's going to be the recipient through our partnership with Friends as part of those scholarships to our students. And so we had an opportunity to be at Friends last week on Friday, a large group of Butler folks to say thank you to Friends and say thank you to Senator Moran. He was there, and so it was a nice afternoon event that we got to attend. Dr. Neville and Chef Pena and I were at the Andover School Board meeting last night to thank them for their friendship and partnership over the years. We signed our first lease with the Andover School District on September 2nd, 1992. So 30 years ago was when we signed the first lease to be on the north end of Andover High School. Part of that lease was to build out to do some new construction on the end of that building for industrial arts and to help refurbish some of their industrial arts area and to do some parking lot improvements. And those lease agreements were about 10 years in length, and we just continued to, re-up them and make changes and everything. So we've had a really great 30-year partnership at that physical site. But then also tremendous friendship and partnership through all of the projects that we worked on together in educating students and offering concurrent and dual enrollment classes. And especially wanted to thank them for the opportunity that they provided to us last summer when we discovered that we weren't going to be able to, that the city of Wichita wasn't going to renew our lease to be at the Boston Rec Center for our culinary classes. They had a culinary kitchen in their new high school building that they weren't going to end up using and didn't schedule classes in, that they allowed us to teach our cooking classes in for the last year. So wanted to say thank you to them for that. So it was a nice gathering to be able to go to their board meeting last night and publicly thank them. Next week, the Kansas Community College presidents will all be together. I think we're at Southwestern. I need to go back and look and see for sure, but we're going to be together with the Kansas independent colleges, the private institutions across Kansas, Newman, McPherson, Heston, all of those folks, and signing a transfer agreement with them. Those Kansas independent colleges will take our students' associate's degrees completely and transfer our students into whatever program of study they're pursuing a bachelor's degree in. They'll take all of our associate degree hours and transfer those students in as junior status. And so they'll have 60 hours to complete when they get to those institutions. They may end up, depending on the institution, they may have to fulfill a graduation requirement for a religious class or something like that that we wouldn't offer. But this is a tremendous move and tremendous partnership with the independent colleges that we don't currently have with our public Kansas Regents institutions. So we're really excited about this opportunity to sign with them, and the fact that they will take our students in as junior status, which is huge. Saves them time, money, all those great things. I emailed out to all of the employees. We started some conversation last fall about our mission and vision statements, and whether, I mean, going back and reviewing them and seeing what needed to be updated. I think I put a copy of the mission and vision survey. It's paper clipped, I think, at your places, but we had 5 or 6 different public forums where we talked to employees and then talked to them during IDD. And then I sent out a survey based on those conversations that kind of came out of the face-to-face conversations. Sent out a survey to all of the employees, asking them to, do this quick survey on some different questions. What's Butler's core mission? Why is Butler's presence important for students in the communities it serves? Why do students come to Butler? And as an employee, why are you at Butler? And this is the overview that came. There were 375 people that responded to the survey, which is a great response. But I wanted to just show you those answers to the 4 questions that we put out. It's just another step in our review of the mission and vision statement. Our next step now is to put together a small group of employees from across the college, faculty and staff, to actually look at the mission and vision statement and see if it needs to be tweaked a little bit and updated. It's been in place for a number of years, and it's always time to review those and maybe just make some wording changes that are a little bit more relevant for where we are now. So I wanted to give you those results. There's no surprises there. We weren't surprised. I mean, these were the conversations that came out of the face-to-face discussions, and we saw the same thing reflected in the survey when we had a couple of hundred people reply. So we'll keep you posted on that progress that we make this fall on the rest of the revision. If you've been downtown El Dorado, or if you haven't, go downtown and take a look. We have welcome Butler flags on the light poles that go up and down Main Street, and some back and forth on Central that look really great and are a great welcome for our students to town. Wanted to give you an update on Kansas Promise Scholarship from Heather Ward today. As of today, we have paid 152 students $226,481.60 right now. And so for perspective, as of at last year, at the end of the fall semester, we had paid 73 students just over $119,000. We have 23 students who are still working with and waiting on official awards. There will be, the Board of Regents is reviewing all of the programs that have been approved by or approved for the 2-year institutions. They're going to go back and review all of those, and they may take some of those off the list if they don't fall into categories of high wage, high demand, or critical need. And so we're watching that very carefully and hopeful that Butler's programs will all remain in place for our students. Just as kind of a heads up, there will be more information coming, but wanted to let you know, with the launch of our new Fire Science Academy, our 16-week academy, that I think I emailed you about, and there's been some publicity about, really a great opportunity for workforce development because it compacts that program into a 16-week time frame. We have had the Wichita Fire Department reach out to us, to our program, asking if there's a possibility that we might be able to do the same thing for Wichita Fire Department. We've got a lot of steps that we would have to go through to do that.
That be
But
located here in Butler or there in Central?
I think the plan is to have that be in Wichita at one of the firehouses. That's the value of it, is that it's right there for their folks. But I'll have more detail for you as we go along. We're putting together enrollment information and cost, and of course, if we had that opportunity, we would. I would be reaching out to WSU to visit with them about it as well, so that they would know. And those
great program. That's why.
Those steps haven't happened quite yet. And then is an enrollment update. We don't have numbers certified yet. Yesterday, I think was the 20th day. We are at about 96% to our head count, and we're at about 94% to our credit hours. We're still continuing to enroll. Some of the things, and we'll get more information again as we get those numbers certified, but even at day one, our international head count was up about 30%. Credit hours were up 44%. And so the decision to lower international student tuition was significant, but it also is reflective of their ability to travel and get visas now. There's, because we aren't having to deal with the COVID stuff. Transfer student head count was up 19% on day one. Head count for older students was up about 3%. Online enrollment was up about 2%. Butler County High School enrollment was up about 17%. And on day one, we saw a number of majors that showed increases. For example, cybersecurity was up 41%. Early childhood education about 15%. And so we were seeing pockets of good enrollment. So I'll continue to give those updates to you as we go along.
Do you happen to know, if I could ask, do you happen to know what Central County enrollment percentage was up? I don't have any idea at this point in time.
Schools won't have that information yet. Schools go by September 20th.
Well, she had Butler County, so maybe she did. So.
Oh, for WSU.
Two different things.
It's two different things.
Right.
Yeah. Dr. Kroll, I had
Yes.
two questions. The Promise Scholarship, how long is this going to go on for? Do you know? Is it a 3-year?
Well,
The state's going to offer this?
they implemented it with the idea that it would be ongoing.
Ongoing? Okay, great.
They funded it the first year with $10 million. The legislation, if I remember correctly, provided additional funding the second year, as well as any rollover of funds that remained. And so I think it was $10 million the second year as well. So hopeful that it will continue to thrive.
Mhm.
Thank you, Dr. Kroll. Educational facilities, Trustee Good, Trustee Shear.
Well, since Mr. Shear could not make it due to previous responsibilities, I went and had a wonderful time. We
I knew I
put,
would get it.
we put
You
ice
had
mach-
lunch and everything, and then they took you on a tour and.
Absolutely. And let's see, we put ice machines in each of the locker rooms and we leased them because I didn't realize that ice machines are such a mechanical problem. So we leased those. And then the other major item was fundraising for the scoreboard. And so we talked about that, and I forget who's on the committee to fundraise, but it's Ryan, Ray, and Dr. Kroll. And so that's it. And that was about it. And I have not heard if we're going to have a meeting this month. You haven't heard either.
Oh, thank you for going ahead and attending, even though you don't, it's just you.
I know.
by yourself.
I know.
Thank you.
My previous commitment.
Thanks, everybody. We'll move on to the monitoring report, which this month is athletics. TC.
Good evening, Todd Carter, been here at Butler, I think, 36 years, starting 36. So I was told that you guys have had the stuff in your packets, all last year's results and wins and losses and so on. And then we updated, the new coaching staff. We've got 3 different new head coaches in our sports. It's list all those coaches there. Enough on last year. Tyler's going to give a quick update on the fall sports, and then we've got want to show you a little clip of something pretty historic that happened Sunday night. So switch it over to the sports information guy. So
yeah, cool. Thanks, TC. Tyler Nordman, Associate Athletic Director Starting my 4th year here at Butler from Augusta. I've met most of you in the room. Some of you are new to me. We're well underway into fall sports. Volleyball, as you saw, the sophomores, they're 8-4. They lost their first 4 of the games to start the season off. They were all top 15 opponents. So a little rough start, but against a very challenging schedule, very good schedule Lisa put together, but they've won the last 8. So they're doing well, receiving votes in the national poll. Football is 2-1. And if you saw what happened on Saturday, that was probably one of the top 10, top 5 best games in program history. We ended up on the wrong side of it, 49 in overtime, but it was crazy. But under the new leadership with Bryce taking over, it's been good. They're at Independence this Saturday at 7 p.m. Soccer team, number 6 in the country, doing really well. 5 wins over top 15 ranked opponents. They raised money to take a trip to New York to play some non-conference games this season. So the team raised enough money to travel out there and play against some really good teams out in New York. And they went 2-0 out there. So a really fun trip for the kids, something they'll remember forever, and picking up 2 good victories. So they're doing really well. They're at home tomorrow night against Garden City. Cross country, they've run 1 meet. They run this weekend in Joplin. But we had one of our male freshman runners set the course record at Hutchinson 2 weeks ago in the Terry Masterson Twilight Classic there. So they're off to a good start. No rankings are out for them yet just because they're so early into the season, but really good fall so far. Love to see you guys out at some sporting events. We have a lot of them, a lot of games always happening. Volleyball's here tomorrow and soccer's here tomorrow night as well. So next home football game will be the 24th of September. It's a 1:30 kick. So awesome. And then, yeah, real quick, we'll show a quick video of, like TC said, something historic that happened on for 11 straight years. The #1 rated primetime show with the most viewership averages about 19.3 million views a night on Sunday nights. It's Sunday Night Football, and this is what happened. Yeah, it was nice.
Your lead-in was perfect.
Yeah, the timing was off.
If we could overcome the technical difficulties.
Building that anticipation.
So here's a start. You got to back it up.
Yay! That was so neat.
So if it's going through Zoom as well, that's DeMarcus Lawrence. He's an 8-year NFL veteran, 2-time Pro Bowler, played for us in 2010 and 11. Sunday Night Football, first game of the season for the Dallas Cowboys, and he says Butler Community College in front of what we think probably 19.3 million people. To get a commercial spot on Sunday Night Football is about $820,000 for a 30-second spot. I did look that up because I was curious. So a guy who was here back in 2010, 11, almost 10 years ago now, went to Boise State after Butler, still remembers his time here enough to mention it. The biggest moment, maybe not hit. Nothing. Byron Pringle last year during the playoffs, he wore Butler gear, and that was all over social media. And obviously Zach Taylor, former Grizzly, coaching the Bengals all the way to the Super Bowl last year. So we got 16 current people in the NFL, 14 players and 2 coaches. This year, it's really exciting. And again, a lot of opportunities that we've created for young men and women to move forward in their careers. And you saw it on Sunday night. So that was really cool for us to see. And our phones are just blowing up, everybody that saw it. So that was a lot of fun.
All over the country,
yeah, really cool. So
How's Tay Gowan doing?
he got released from the Eagles. And he got picked up by the Vikings, and he's on the practice squad right now. So he's not on 53 yet.
Okay.
But working hard. I mean, he's he's one of those guys that just continues to work hard and head down and wait your turn. So, yeah. Great. Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to board strategic discussion items. The first of them is the board self-evaluation. All those were emailed to everyone a couple of weeks ago. solicited comments and didn't have anything. So Shelby sent a note yesterday. I don't have the one overarching comment that I wanted to make, not relating to any of the specific evaluation responses in particular, except whenever the board evaluation has come up in the last couple of months, there's been criticisms of people that don't like the format. And what I would say is that now we are in charge of that process. So for those of you, I use the term you generically, that don't like the current format, I would encourage you to take a look at best practices, ACCT standards. I mean, offer suggestions or constructive criticism, so we don't end up, next year hearing the same criticisms about format that we know about now, and it's on the onus is on us to address that, or don't complain about it anymore if we're not going to step up and offer suggestions. As to the substance, no one asked to talk about any particular section. So, Trustee Winslow.
I would like to see it be the same as Dr. Kroll's evaluation as far as the number of questions, because I wanted to note that there was only 10 questions on their evaluation. And they really weren't questions, they were statements, but the board questionnaire, the board evaluation had 60 questions. And I thought that was just a bit lopsided. So I would like to see them one and the same next year. And I would like to see them, not only Dr. Kroll's evaluation, but the board evaluation come straight out of the KBCCT. Just saying, those are my remarks.
Trustee Good.
Mr. Chairman, Julie, would you like to work on that with me? I'd like to work on it.
Sure. We still need to do our goals anyway, so that'd be great.
Okay. Maybe we could have something in 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, let's get the dinner meeting and all get going.
Okay.
Drinks afterward.
All right. Sounds good.
Borrow Dr. Kroll's credit card. But no, I think that's a good idea. I thought that was really awesome.
Okay.
I would note on the format, if the package of materials that we got by email from Mary, our facilitator from the retreat, she gave a sample of a ACCT. God, I can't speak that. The ACCT standard board evaluation, and it looks remarkably similar to what we've been using. So there may be criticisms of how we can make ours a little better, but I think we'll find that it's not that far off from what the norm is within the industry. But I welcome Trustee Good and Trustee Winslow to put your heads together and offer suggestions. Trustee Brungard.
Mine's just more of a question, being new on here. I'm just wondering really what the point of the whole thing was if we're really not discussing it. I mean, I think the evaluation overall kind of showed poor remarks or poor scores for us as a board. So my question would be, what's the fix for that? Whose job is it to fix it? And why did we do this to begin with?
You're nominated.
Whoa.
No, I'm just genuinely asking, like, what was the point if we're not really going to discuss it and we're just going to move on?
It's a tool. It's a tool for the board to use to look at ourselves and evaluate how we think we can do better. That's part of why I sent it around to everybody and offered if there's specific things we want to talk about. I didn't want to spend the whole board meeting having everyone feel like they have to repeat the same things that they put in the evaluation that everybody else had a chance to read and digest and see. But we can do with it what we want. I think that's the bottom line.
I just felt like, I think initially there were some of us, or like I personally was hesitant in even filling it out because it was lengthy and I really didn't think that anything was going to come of it or any point was going to be made. And I guess I was right on that. I don't know why there was such a push to do it at all, but that's.
Well, if you, then I would challenge you to identify ways to use it. I mean, we've been doing that process. I mean, the board has been doing that process for a long time. That doesn't mean we should necessarily continue to do it, but I think based on the fact that there's a ACCT standard evaluation, it is a recognized part of how boards operate. Now,
Right,
what use we make of that information, again, that's up to us.
Right. In the training we've had, and in this survey, that we did for ourselves, I think the overarching goal that they keep trying to teach us is to somehow meet in the middle. And in my time on this board, I really I see a whole lot of 4-3 votes, and I don't see any movement on, the side of any kind of compromise, even with what we propose being slight changes. There's just met with nope, nope, nope. So I guess that would be my suggestion, that somehow there would be some kind of compromise on literally anything, or a no vote on literally anything, because if everything the administration brings forward is always a yes, then I don't see the board as really doing anything other than rubber stamping what's brought there. So my suggestion would be that maybe the administration and people in this room really wonder and really question why the three of us vote no on something, and maybe try to do something about that. But instead, we'll just ignore the board evaluation, pretend it never happened, and move on.
Again, if you're ignoring it, it's because you're choosing to ignore it. I mean,
I literally stated my point,
No,
and
that's fine.
I don't need your commentary on it.
That's fine. Any other comments?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, trustee Joy.
one of the things that did happen at this KACCT meeting was they did talk about board evaluations. And one thing that came out that I thought was interesting is one of the boards at the end of every meeting just have a sheet, has 5 questions on it, and they check yes or no, did we adhere to this tonight?
Did we what? I'm sorry.
Did we adhere to this tonight? So like the first one might be, did we do a better job at following Robert's Rules of Order? It's kind of a little self-evaluation of things. We're going to ask for that. I hadn't done it yet, but we should get what they're using and see if we could use something similar. Then at the beginning of the next meeting, there's a report of how many thought we did or didn't, discuss that quickly and go on, trying to remind us to do some of the things we said we'd like to do. Sorry about the squeaky throat.
Any other
If you're
comments?
making a motion, I'll second that.
Well, we're not in action
I think
items,
it's a
but
good
that's,
Why don't you let me work with Kim and get with the college that was doing it and come back with it on the agenda? Would that be?
Yeah, I just want to see exactly what they are using.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
we can either use the same thing or adjust it accordingly
Adapt
to
it.
what we feel like our challenges are as a board.
Because I think any way that we can somehow move towards some kind of compromise in anything that results in 7-0 votes is advantageous,
Positive.
And yeah, and that's my thing, is I'm just like, I'm not saying we're all right and they're all wrong. I just see no movement towards a compromise. And I don't know if we need a mediator for that, or if we need something, like what you're talking about, because that needs to be the point. So, and if we're going to have things like board evaluations, then I do think it's appropriate, even if it's in a work session, to go down and go through that document that was a very extensive and time-consuming document, and have those hard discussions as to why some of us feel the way we do on either side of the fence, and try to figure out a compromise, which is the point to getting to a board that is working cohesively, which is what all the training says we should be doing.
if there's a consensus amongst the group that we want to dig in and discuss that, we could certainly bring it up at the work session in September. I mean, that's what work sessions are for, is to have those kinds of discussions. It's not an action item, it's a discussion item. So
I mean,
if
if
there's
I'm a lone
consensus to
wolf,
do that.
then that's fine, but whatever you guys think.
I think we should just read through it and make some comments.
Yeah, without being hateful and petty and cranky, just talk, and try to get to that, hopefully some kind of middle ground, because we're not getting there.
I would rather do it at a work session than,
Sure.
at a
That's
business
what that's
meeting.
for.
Right, right.
Well,
And they're all recorded anyway.
Yeah.
we can plan that for the September work session. Okay, any other comment? Okay, we'll move on to the sound and lighting upgrades for the Performing Arts Theater. Dr. Neville.
I just want to get eyes on everyone. We're at the point now for our fine and performing arts auditorium. Essentially, the equipment isn't functioning, so we're really to the point where we need to replace it. And as we started looking at what type of equipment and to what level we needed to replace things, the cost, of course, goes beyond anything we can really do within our limits. So we wanted to bring this to your attention, that this is something that we hope to bring to the board next month for approval, which would include an upgrade to our sound system that's happening in the auditorium. Adding an approved assisted hearing device to sort of get us more in line with accessibility requirements for live theaters. Our lobby sound and intercom system, which is really not really up to par either. And then adding some broadcast capabilities for future growth and things that are happening. And then as we looked at that, of course, this stuff is pretty old and antiquated equipment. So looking at the lighting upgrades as well. So as we started to get those evaluations, we definitely thought, we need to bring this to your attention for, any questions that you may have prior to us bringing it to you next month. So we can ensure that, we cross all of our T's and dot our I's that you guys may have questions about.
Question.
Yep.
Can I ask it tonight instead of wait until next month?
Sure.
I'm just wondering, is any of this, and I'm sure not all of it is, but is any of it on the deferred maintenance list? Because we're replacing.
I would say no, because this is something that's really tied to instruction and things that are actually used in the curriculum for the classes. So maybe part of the lobby equipment, yes, that might be part of the tech plan. And we have looked at, pulling in some resources from IT, as well as looking at our.
You really think IT is going to give you some of their resources?
Well, I think we're going to need to partner on some of these things, especially for some of the lobby sound and intercom system. Yeah, it's a little bit out of the scope of the academic realm. So
and that's fine.
Yeah.
Can you see if any of this is on a list somewhere to be replaced already?
Yeah, I don't think it is. Yeah. The only thing I know we're looking at for that building is I think the HVAC for the gallery, which is not included in this. That's a different discussion. So essentially at this point, we have to rent the audio equipment for us to have classes this semester. So there is a sense of urgency. We can continue to rent the equipment, or we can replace it with current technology that should get us through another, 15, 20 years.
I had one more
Yeah.
question. Is any of this in the 5-year plan for technology?
No, because this
Any
would
of this in there?
No, because this is really, I guess, that particular venue is really geared towards academics.
I don't know, an analog system.
Well, that just means we're going to go from an analog system to a digital system.
I know what it means, but it's still an upgrade. It's still a substantial.
Well, we wouldn't be able to replace it with an analog system because they don't make it anymore.
No, I realize that.
Yeah.
You haven't
Chair, I've
seen a
got-
small church sound system, how much a small church sound system costs to
Oh,
have
you
you?
mean the cassette players?
No, like $100,000, and that's just for a small one.
Yeah, just some quick commentary. No, this is not set in our standard technology replacement plan. This is a piece that is specific to academics. Now we've began moving some of those academic pieces into an overall technology replacement plan, as we've talked about high flex classrooms and some of our classroom technology. But this is just something that is kind of wholly separate. And so to Dr. Neville's point, there's going to be a lot of partnering through the design and implementation of this. But at the end of the day, the staff, the faculty in the performing arts department, they're the experts in that sound and stage piece. And so it's not something that we would design. We'll definitely help with the implementation, installation, and configuration, but I need them to design it. I'm not a stage
It's a
guy.
fair question.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we're looking at splitting that cost between our Academics Innovation Fund and some of the college innovation money and some help from Bill as well.
Dr. Cole, do you have a comment on this?
Yes, thank you. And it's in your booklet and your narrative, but this is also teaching opportunity for students, because the students are the ones that are running the lighting and the sound in all of the productions. And so it trains them on industry standard equipment and allows them to take those skills on if they transfer on in those degree programs, or even if they're just going on to another institution and have that opportunity to serve, in support of theater or vocal music instruction or productions. And so it's a great opportunity then also for our students to learn on upgraded equipment.
Yeah, and it's also that community experience, fine and performing arts here at Butler is part of the fabric of the community. We bring a lot of community engagement, patrons from the community to these events. So making sure they have that opportunity as well, not only for the student experience, but for the community experience as well.
I don't know if there's anything you can use, but I did notice in the board meeting last night for Roseville that there was a lot of surplus in equipment.
Typically,
Some of it was electronics.
typically some of that stuff doesn't talk to each other, and especially in the new audio configurations and the advancing in speaker technology and all those things. It's really the modern the technology that's in that now is really it's by the time we install it it'll be.
I understand there's also big screen things. So on visuals.
My only question is, you mentioned doing that you're leasing items now in order to get by. What is the cost of leasing, and with technology moving this like the speed of light, is there any logical, would it make sense to continue leasing into the future as opposed to purchasing? And is it really realistic to expect this stuff to last 10 or 15 years?
Sure. Yeah, I can get you a cost on what it costs for us to lease the audio equipment. We don't lease the lighting and video equipment. That would be something that we wouldn't be leasing.
Okay, so that's in addition to what you're leasing.
Yeah, we're only leasing the audio equipment at this point because our audio equipment is completely non-functional at this point.
And so you're saying that.
Folks,
you'll
please
present
ask to
some
be
kind of
recognized. We're
cost.
trying to keep this going.
Yeah, we
It has to
have
be
bids, and we just wanted to bring this to as a discussion item in case you had any questions. So we're prepared when we do bring this to a vote next month that we have all your questions answered ahead of time in preparation.
Yeah, including the cost of purchase versus lease. Okay.
Dr. Neville, thank you. Next item up is the capital plan for the ball fields, and I'll let Dr. Troll speak to that.
Thank you. You have at your places again an updated cost. David Dillner and I met a couple of weeks ago, and then he provided some additional information for me in an email last night that you have in front of you now. The city commission, the El Dorado City Commission has voted to, it was paper clipped together. Yeah, sorry. City Commission voted to go ahead and move forward with their capital improvements, their park improvement plan to East Park, to Central Field, to McDonald Stadium. They are going to commit a $2.1 million investment using sales tax revenues to these park improvements. And they have had conversations with the college and the school district about partnering with them on some of the shared costs for the spaces that we use. And so what you have in front of you, and I gave you a little bit of information in the past, this shows a little bit more specific detail as far as cost. And so at the top of the page, the first block is East Park improvements, which is where our softball team plays on the north field. And so they're projecting, we've talked about, and you've looked at the design for the rebuild of the concession restroom facility. That estimated cost is $300,000, and they've split that cost out between the city and the school district and the college, and are identifying that that cost to us would, of that total cost would be $90,000. They also need to replace some shade structures. Our cost or portion of the cost would be $6,000. The percentages are based on really kind of again usage. We use that field. We use those fields more than the school district does, because the school district plays at some of the fields that are out by the lake. And so 30% of that cost is based really on our usage.
Is this
so that
city provides this, does these numbers?
David Dillner provided this information to us. This came through city planning and discussion with the city commission, El Dorado City Commission. The scoreboards, those kinds of things, we aren't committed to cover any of that cost. This concession and restroom facility is just concessions and restroom. We also talked about adding a locker room, a women's locker or a softball locker room out there. And the original plan that we talked about identified that locker room as being located closer to the fence line of the field. We talked about some additional fencing and some sidewalk work, but those plans have kind of, the fencing and the sidewalk probably are not pertinent any longer. If the college decided to construct a Butler softball locker room structure, that cost that was originally proposed to you is about $211,000. It can't be located along the fence line where we originally looked at it because the water lines for the refinery run right there. And so it would make sense to, if we build that, construct it adjacent to the concession stand and the restroom facilities, because there's electricity there and water and plumbing. And so there would be, Vince just initial figures said probably a $10,000 to $15,000 savings in the construction of that by locating it next to concessions and restroom, but I don't have complete figures on that yet. The central field improvements, of course, we don't have any commitment because we don't play on those fields. And so if you look at the East Park financial commitment of $96,000, and we constructed our own locker room, which would be our entire cost, would have about $296,000 at East Park. The McDonald Stadium information that's in the table at the bottom of the page, which is where our baseball team plays, we show that our cost for our portion of the cost, again, that's split between the city, the school district, and the college, for turf replacement, mound replacement, scoreboard, backstop, outfield fence, our costs there would be about $168,000. Now, I will tell you that the original paperwork, the original plan that David and I looked at, had the college had the city requesting that the college make a commitment to that second half of that table where you see bleacher gaps and windows and restroom update. They are not asking for that funding from us any longer. They're just asking for the actual field improvements. So that cost at McDonald would be $168,000. Outside of our locker room structure, if you take that away, the East Park improvements of $96,000 and the McDonald Stadium improvements, when you consider the entire cost of the city's commitment of $2.1 million, that's about a 13% that we would be contributing to those projects. Our locker room on top of that then would be our own cost. City Commission's moving forward. They want to have the concession stand and restroom facility completed by February of next year, so it's ready for spring ball and summer. They are looking at a fairly quick implementation timeline for these improvements of over a 1 to 2 year time frame. They are going to, they're willing to front the cost for all of this. If we want to, if the board decides, you know, at a next meeting to make a financial commitment towards this, they're very flexible in how we would pay for it. We could spread it out over a period of years. We could pay it in, you know, a couple of installments, whatever we wanted to do. They're flexible and willing to work with us. But they're moving forward with it. And so Mary Martha had asked previously, and I think Shelby had asked at one of the last meetings about the cost to build us a field on our own property. And it would be a multi-million-dollar project to have a softball field out here, besides the time that it would take. If the board would choose not to make a financial commitment to these improvements and say, we're not going to pay for anything, then we would end up leasing the field, the use of the field at a significant price to play at McDonald and at East Park. So I'm putting this in front of you. Feel free to ask questions. There's no decision that has to be made tonight, but I do need to let the city council know in October. I told David that we would, we'd discuss it this meeting and then have it as an action item on the board agenda in October. I will work with Vince. He was doing some, looking at some redesign with the city engineers and stuff about a locker room adjacent to the concession and restroom facility. So I don't have those costs exactly at this point in time, but I should have those and should have an updated design before too long. So what questions do you have about this that I can try to answer? And if I can't, I can try and get the answers for you and get them to you.
Trustee Benson.
I would like to know what the lease agreement would look like if we decided to go that route. I'd just like to have that option on the table if we did not cost share.
Okay, I will ask David. Currently, in years past, as we've played at East Park and as we've played on McDonald, we've, I don't know, on an annual basis, I think we committed, maybe $1,000 or $2,000 a season is all, but we were doing a lot of the work, at least at East Park, doing the grass care and the fertilizing and all of those kinds of things. At McDonald, we weren't doing as much. The city was doing a little bit more, but David indicated to me that the lease, if we didn't make a commitment, the lease would be substantial because they're going to recoup their costs somehow.
Well, I guess I'd want to know on the other hand, then if we were going to do any of that mowing and seeding and so forth with that lease, or if they were going to do it all.
We won't. Oh, I don't know that.
We have trouble apparently getting people.
I'm not sure I understand your comment.
Getting people hired. We have trouble. So I'm wondering if they'd want to do all the maintenance themselves. And that would be included in the lease agreement they would present to you, or if we'd also have a piece of that shared maintenance and how much that would be to us.
I would probably respond to that in indicating that currently our facilities and our grounds crews, we don't have capacity to do it. So if we were, we would have to pay the city to take care of the fields for us.
Bill behind you has comment.
Yes.
For if we go to a lease agreement, we would have to lease it on a daily basis because there's no park where we could practice. And so the teams would be there on a daily basis. It's not just for the games.
And
and there is a big following for both baseball and softball. There, I don't know, besides parents that go, there's quite a few retired community people who support those two teams. And one is going to especially enjoy the restrooms at the softball field because she has told me that.
Yeah, well, thank you. Any other questions for Dr. Carl on this? Trustee Jelly.
Okay, so if the city is going to help finance this, they're going to help finance the 264,000, but we would still be on our own to finance the locker room.
Correct. The locker room cost would be all our own. The only shared expense there might be in the utilities and the cement pad and those kinds of things that they're already putting down for the concession stand and the restrooms. There might be a little bit of shared cost there, but essentially the locker room would be our expense alone.
And for us to figure out how to pay or finance it.
Right.
Plus it helps us get us into Title IX compliance.
Any other comments?
One other
Trustee,
question.
yeah, Trustee Breyer.
Since this has been on the
The
radar
softball
and there's been communication with the city and whatnot, has this been budgeted into the next fiscal year in any way?
We have not specifically, but again, we have funds set aside, that could be used towards this. the fact that the city is not really hung up on payment structure, certainly allows us to build this into the budget over the next couple of years if we needed to do that. So we have a lot of flexibility in how we would manage this.
Yeah, I mean, it only makes sense if we're using it to share and paying for it. It just, I'm with Julie on needing to understand the lease option if that's going to be on the table as well.
Sure, I'll get that information.
Moving on to policy review procedures. Dr. Kroll emailed copies of our board policies to everybody. I'm circulating a new policy that Dr. Kroll put together to try to provide some substance on how we handle information requests. I would like us to talk about this at the work session. Maybe we also pick out, a takeaway from the retreat was some people have concerns with some of our current policies and a perception that we ought to relook at them. So we've got more policies than we probably ought to try to bite on at one time. But if there's 2 or 3 in addition to this new one that we want to tackle at the September work session, we can talk through the issues and then have them for action items. If there's consensus on making changes, we can adopt those or act on them at the October meeting. Dr. Cole.
I suggested, I think in my email to you that you pick 4 to start with that could be discussed. We can bring them back. We can talk about them at the work session. Maybe start with 4, see if you can pound out, 4 over the next couple of months, and then whatever's remaining can be looked at in the following months. And they can.
Well, I think let's treat the information request as one of those 4. So if we have 3 others that we want to tackle, I don't know that we have issues with all of them, or if we want to just table every single one of them at one point just to go through and confirm we have no issues. Is there any, does anybody have a strong feeling about one we'd like to see?
I attached them to the.
It was last week.
Attached them to my email update, I think, didn't I?
Okay, I didn't.
Yeah. I know I printed them off.
Your email, what you've been doing was very detailed, so I got way far down, like, okay, I'm next. I didn't get to the attachments.
He was asleep by the time he got there.
Got too many emails, didn't it?
Well.
Well, why don't we take a look at that email sometime this week, look at those policies. Just send a note to me and to Dr. Kroll, if you would, please. If there's one if there's, a small handful that you'd really like to tackle first, that'll give us an idea of what we can put on the agenda for the work session this month. And then whatever we don't cover at the work session, we'll plan October work session to get through all of them. Yes, ma'am.
Can I make a suggestion?
Please do.
I would suggest that each of you email me 2 policies, the titles of 2 policies by the end of the week, and whatever has the most hash marks, those can be the ones that are addressed. We'll look for the top ones. That'll help, and that way then what I can do also then is whatever are the selected ones, I can send those back out to you, or I can at least give you a heads up so you can start to look at potential changes and then bring those for discussion at the work session. But that'll help me prepare for the work session, the information that you need for the work session.
So just 2.
Send me 2.
The only issue I have with that is that, I have not yet really had an opportunity to make any suggestions for policies. And there are some that I'd like to talk about. So maybe we can talk about that in an email or something. I don't want to be limited to 2 of the 4 policies that you suggested.
Oh, no, that's not what I said. I said we need to decide on the plan coming out of our retreat was that we would do a review of all of our policies. This is simply a means of deciding which ones we're going to tackle first. So we identify 2 And that'll give us 2 plus this new one. That'll give us 3 or 4, depending on time, to focus on at the work session this month. And we get through those and we have 5 policies left, and we'll figure out which of those 5 we're going to tackle in October. And by the end of the year, we can feel comfortable that we've, as a board, done a review of all of our policies. It doesn't mean
Right.
everybody's changes are going to get adopted, but we'll have had the opportunity to talk about those and vet them and
But we're only
decide.
talking about policies that are existing. See,
Well, but if there is I would assume that anything we would want to add would fit into one of our existing policies. So if there's an item that you think ought to be part of policy X, then this would be the opportunity to talk about that.
okay. Thanks.
Does that
for
work?
Clarification.
Okay. Next item is an update on the strategic plan, and Dr. Kroll, that's you also.
Yep. I included in the board book on page 20, the updated strategic plan. I think we had in prior discussion indicated that the overarching goals, the 6 overarching goals would remain. And if you compare what's on page 20 to what's at the very beginning, the very first page of your board book, you'll see a lot of similarity. As we work through these, a lot of the discussion internally was that we needed to narrow down the wording and narrow down the number of priorities. We will still attach action plans to these and performance indicators. But for instance, under advancing communities and partnerships, the one that and because some of them were almost redundant, I guess, maybe we were kind of doing the same thing or looking at some of the same things under a couple of these areas. So for instance, under advancing communities and partnerships now currently on page 20, if you look back and compare what's on the very first page of your board book, the one that's been removed is provide return on investment for students and taxpayer resources committed to the college. And as we talked about that, a lot of the work that we do in strengthening partnerships with business and industry and stakeholders to support economic and workforce development really addresses that. I mean, it helps provide that return on investment for students and taxpayers. Under, for instance, driving institutional sustainability and growth, we've narrowed down those to looking at 2 priorities, but they still really kind of include some of the original ones. And so it's just a shorter list, but really the focus is still very much in the same direction. And we've changed, kind of updated or made some of the wording a little bit more concise. Under supporting students and their success, when we talk about enrollment, we decided that it made more sense to state we want to address strategic enrollment. That doesn't mean that we don't want to increase enrollment, because we still want to work towards it, but we want to be really strategic about how we do that. So we've tried to revise some of that wording just a little bit. But you'll see with the action plans and the KPIs that come to you on a monthly basis in the board book moving forward, that there's still going to be a lot of similarity in how we do this work and what we do. So wanted to put this update in front of you and see if you have some comments or thoughts about it. This, of course, is what's going to help drive our budget process. It'll help drive the work that I need to do to address the goals that are being set for me. But we feel like those 6 goals that were part of the strategic plan last year, the overarching goals, are still very relevant and critical for us to address as we work with our students and our employees in our communities. So I'd certainly entertain comments that you might have.
I like the direct focus of it.
It's a little bit more, it's a little tighter. It's a little
Right.
bit more concise.
Right. And the bullet points are easier to follow than Butler will.
Yeah.
Dr. Kroll, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on to board action items. The first one on the agenda is amendments to our family medical leave and service member leave policy, and Ms. Schultz.
Hello, thank you. Yes, we had talked about this policy when we developed the parental leave policy, that we wanted the leave periods to line up with each other. And so that this policy that was currently in existing for family medical leave and service family medical leave would need to be adjusted. So we're asking the board to approve that adjustment. While we were reviewing the policy, we went ahead and made some additional wording changes, sentence structures that were kind of outdated or kind of redundant. So we just cleaned up the entire policy. But what the main change to this policy involved was changing from a fiscal year format on leave eligibility and the amount of time that's counted towards that leave to a rolling year, 12-month rolling year period. You have any questions? I'd be happy to answer. Pretty simple. Thank you.
Hearing no questions, I'd entertain a motion to approve the revisions to that policy as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board support the proposed changes to the family medical leave and service member family leave policy.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any comment? Yes, go ahead.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 7-0. Okay, next item up, we have some retirements, personnel. Dr. Kroll?
Thanks. We always put our retirements on the board agenda, so we have an opportunity to offer a few comments before you vote on those. And so I think Ireland's coming forward to tell you a little bit about Michael Jessef.
Yes, Michael started with facilities as a student worker. Then in February of '89, he actually moved to a full-time grounds technician, which he served 33 years in that position. During that time, his favorite task, I think, was working the football games. He may not say that every time, but he loved working the football games. He was a joy to be around. The staff loved him. He joked all the time. He gave everyone a hard time, and we are going to miss him, but we wish him all the luck. So.
I offer a comment as well, please. Thank you. Mike was also one of those guys. If I needed something at my house, I always, needed a little bit of help. I would ask Ireland, is there somebody available after hours? Because not during workday, but after hours that I could pay to come haul a limb away for me or something like that. And Mike almost always was the one that stepped up to do that. So I really appreciated that. But he was really excited. We give our retirees a nice retirement clock, but we also give them a lifetime pass to the games and the vocal music and theater events. And he was really excited about having a pass to all of those games. So he's a great guy. We'll miss him. Thanks, Ireland.
Yes, thank you.
And then I think, do you want to do these separately or together?
We can do them together.
Okay. Do you want to make some comments about Deb, Kent, for us, please?
Yes, Melody Doyle, our bookstore supervisor, has provided me with a statement. I'll just go ahead and read that. It's okay. Debbie has been a dedicated and loyal Butler employee for 14 years and has enjoyed every minute of her time in the bookstore. Her outgoing personality has always made students and customers feel as if they were the most important people at any given moment. We are going to miss her bubbly personality, her hard work, and her complete dedication to making the Butler bookstore a success. The only reason for her departure is that she is starting a wonderful new adventure of babysitting for her first grandchild.
Kent, thank you. Would entertain a motion to accept the resignations from Michael Jessef and Deborah Williams.
Mr. Chairman, I so move that we accept the recommendations of the retirements of Michael Jessef and Deborah Williams.
Second.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Thanks, everybody. Would entertain a motion now to approve the consent agenda.
I would move that we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Thank you. Got a motion and a second. Call that, please.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Also passes 7-0. Next, we've got supplemental information. Dr. Mohammed, do you have anything to share?
Thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Good.
Some time ago, a couple of years ago, one of you rightly mentioned to me that anytime we have an update to the KPIs, it's probably a good idea to share a few comments so that it's fresh in the minds of people. As you see, there's an update to completers. We did have slightly fewer completers than we did last year. So the numbers dropped about 3%. I wanted to take the opportunity to point out that this was in the context of our enrollment dropping about 5%. So what that is telling us, even though completers are a function of the total enrollment, that internally, the staff, the faculty, all of us are doing all we can to get people who come in, our students, to their goals. So that is continuing. The return on investment continues even if the enrollment is down. One thing I know this question sometimes comes up, how many of these completers are Butler County residents? It's about 20%, which is about the same as the overall population is. One other thing I'll point out, as we look, as I divided up, because somebody else had asked me last time, well, what kind of completers are there? In almost all the areas, whether it was ag or business and management or health and public service or fine arts, our number of completers went up a little bit. Where it didn't go up, actually went back, was generic liberal arts degrees. So make it what you want to make of it. As I see it, to me, it tells me that, those specific degrees and certificates, they're probably getting transferred or going straight to the workforce. So overall, I'm disappointed numbers went down, but in the context of things, I think things are moving in the right direction. And as always, I'll take the easy questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Give anything else?
Just take just a minute, please, to read the thank you notes on page 73. These come from the 4-H kids. We give scholarship certificates to the students that are the grand champion winners in all the different categories and stuff, and they can accumulate these scholarships. I've seen over the years that I've been here some repeat winners. So there's a couple of these kids that are accumulating some good scholarship dollars to be used at Butler when they come. But they're always really, really nice thank you notes and fun to read. And I think kind of required. I think that kids probably don't get their scholarship certificates until they sit down with their 4-H club leaders and write their thank you notes, and then they get handed over. So, and I can tell you that I think Avery Nelson's in charge of that because she's in charge of some of these 4-H students. So she pushes that with the 4-H kids, but also our foundation scholarship recipients as well.
Money is wonderful. Thanks for showing us. We're appreciated.
I know. And part of the fun, I mean, they're handwritten by the kids, and so part of it is seeing their handwriting and just the way that they write. So it's a lot of fun. It's always enjoyable part of what comes in the mail.
It's not much cursive.
It kind of depends on their age.
They went
kind of depends
that
on their
period of
age.
time where they just didn't teach in cursive.
Yeah. Some of these kids are pretty young, and so they're printed, and it's a little stilted, and some of the other ones are older. So it's
I learned cursive and I just print.
You'll also see a note from the nursing faculty to all of the board. The board calendar shows a lot of the different sporting events and theater productions that are coming up. And please, again, remember tomorrow night, the David Grand opportunity to hear him come and speak about Killers of the Flower Moon. Board work session that's scheduled for Monday, the 26th of September at 4:30. That's the next upcoming event for us.
Dr. Kroll, Is there any way we could have the times put on 76 and 77 of when those events are?
I can try to bribe Jennifer to do that for you.
Jennifer, what can I bring you? Thank you so much.
Jennifer, here's your opportunity. Name your price.
The times would be helpful.
Dr. Kroll, thank you.
Sure.
Last item, everybody on the agenda, we have I think what will be a shorter exec session
Shorter,
than we
yes.
first thought. So the language
And-
is on page 78.
Terrell's not here.
Yeah, would entertain a motion. You think 30 minutes instead of 60?
I think so.
So
Mr. Chair, I move that the board recess in executive session for consultation with legal counsel for the board, which would be deemed privilege in the attorney-client relationship pursuant to open meetings exceptions for matters protected by consultation with legal counsel, and to discuss non-elected personnel pursuant to the open meetings exception for matters of non-elected personnel, which if discussed in open meeting might violate the right to privacy, and that the members of the board, President Kim Kroll, Ray Con, and Terrell Mock.
Terrell's not going to join us.
Okay. Terrell Mock will not be. Open meeting will resume in the Dankert trustee boardroom within 60 minutes.
can we say 30 minutes instead? Is that all right?
The take, okay, 30 minutes.
I'll second it.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes. Okay, thanks, everybody. We will, when we come out of exec session, I'll note the exact times in and out. So.
Can we hit the restroom real
Yeah, yes, that's fine.
Take a break and I think there's still some snacks back there. Help yourself a little bit.
I better take my pills.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Yeah, I want you to be using those
Okay, we are back in open session. It is 7:18. We went in to exec session at 6:47 and came out about 7:16. So would entertain a motion to go back into executive session under the same terms as before for another, what do we think, 20 minutes?
Motion, what he said.
I'll second. I never get to second anything.
Okay.
I go.
You gotta hurry. You gotta
I
hurry.
gotta hurry. I was fighting over it
Do
all
we
the
need to
time.
wait for Mary
No,
Martha?
just, we'll be okay.
Trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shear.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's 6-0 with Mary Martha abstaining due to a short absence. So we will go out and announce the times when we come back.
Get to see my thin hair. The job I was on today, I was so terrible. I didn't get a chance for a lunch break or food.
You had time to
I don't know
change
why you
your
look
mind.
for people like
Didn't have
that.
time
Did
to
you
get
go get
clothes.
some food?
Nah, I gotta.
This person you were working for, a slave driver?
Okay,
He left at lunch.
okay, everybody, everybody, we're back open. We're back open session. We went in at 7:21, came out at 7:41. One additional discussion item that Dr. Kroll is passing around. We need to provide a consensus approval of her goals. Would remind everybody we're in open session, so this isn't a time for discussing performance issues, but these are all goals that we've seen before and talked about during the retreat. So I think I got the sense at the retreat that we were on the same page. Dr. Kroll, go ahead and mention what.
Yeah, we had left this the last time, that if you had any updates to email them to me. I didn't get any email updates. I did, the last form that I gave you under the first goal, integrating the strategic plan and the budget, I had included a bullet point for the HLC accreditation visit under that. In talking with my folks that report to me, and my thought was that's a pretty significant goal that we have to complete this year. So I pulled that bullet point out and made it a separate goal, and then gave you some metrics to measure our progress towards that. So that's the only change that was made to this from what you saw in the last draft, was just to make the HLC accreditation visit its own specific goal, because that's really significant. So everything else is the same.
We don't have to vote on this, but.
Yeah, you do.
But we do.
Yeah, you need to, remember from the board retreat, you need to vote on these goals, because this is what I'm going to be evaluated on.
Okay.
I move that we accept the 2022, 2023 president's goals as listed.
I'll second.
Okay. Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank you
everybody. Would
very
entertain a
much.
motion to adjourn.
So move that we adjourn.
Second.
Yeah, I don't ever get.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart.
Yes.
Trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.